Hello, my name is Dr. Eric Brader, and I am the son of Alice Brader, who taught here at the middle school for over 20 years, over 30 years ago. 50 years ago this year being 2021, I too was an 8th grade student here. The scholarship was created in her memory and has been awarded annually to well rounded students who have demonstrated superior academic accomplishment, character, and service to their community. My mother loved this place and her students. When she became terminally ill, she elected to work on until she was no longer physically able to continue. Prior to her passing, she contacted the administration and lobbied for the teacher who she thought would best be able to continue educating her students. In that spirit, we elected to create a scholarship in her name to further the education of the students she loved so much. The award has been given to promising 8th graders who've gone on to become doctors, lawyers, teachers, and even a veterinary ophthalmologist who takes care of the eyes of Hollywood animal stars. Yes, if you work hard and follow the right path, you too can make glasses for Mr. Ed. So a bit more about my mother. My mother grew up in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, about 2 blocks from Franklin and Marshall College. This was during the Great Depression and World War II. After hours, she and her friends sneaked over to the campus and played on the paratrooper training apparatus. When her boyfriend at the time was too chicken to jump off the training platform after she did, she promptly dumped him. In order to make money for her family during these hard times, she was shipped off to labor camps to pick crops. She worked her way through college at Millersville and entered teaching briefly before marrying and starting a family. She had worked as a self-taught newspaper reporter and self-taught commercial artist in order to support herself during college. When my brother reached 4th grade and I reached 3rd grade, she took a position teaching English at the newly opened York Suburban Junior High School, now the middle school. She felt that we had grown up enough to let ourselves back in the house after school for 20 minutes and to behave until she would get home from teaching. After her first day of teaching, she returned home to find my brother on the roof and me climbing out in hot pursuit. I am sure she had second thoughts at that time. However, when my father got home, there was no doubt that this behavior would not be repeated. Hence, she continued on teaching at the middle school for over 20 years. Students past and present were always welcome to our house at seemingly any hour, particularly in summertime. Rolling out of bed and grabbing breakfast without proper attire resulted in more than one embarrassing occasion of finding a total stranger in the kitchen. She started the school newspaper, which continues to this day, having been a real-world reporter. When all of her classes achieved 100% on a spelling test, she would buy chocolate eclairs for all of them. When spanking was outlawed during her tenure, she threatened students with being kissed in order to maintain order. After my brother and I had left the nest, she volunteered to proctor after-school detention, a place where she might be able to help at-risk children. Years later, I received the following letter from one of her detention students. It sums up my mom better than I ever could. I was a student of your mother's more years ago than I care to remember. At the time when I knew your mother, I was an 8th grader at a crossroads, like so many kids. I had a whole world open to me in the form of illegal drugs and alcohol. They allowed a very unpopular, unattractive, unsure girl steady her step in this slippery passage from child to adult. Your mother knew where I was, and in hindsight I believe she was terrified to see where I could be headed. She spent many days with me after school just talking. You see, she was the teacher in charge of detention, and I spent many an evening there. But while most kids bolted out the door when the hour was up, I would stay and talk with Mrs. Brader. She made me feel that I actually had something to say at a time when I felt no one could hear me. I made my choice at that crossroad and forgot about Mrs. Brader. I spent many years drifting aimlessly, doing drugs in dreamless sleep. I forgot that someone believed in me. I certainly didn't. I was smart enough to get out of that world and change my life when I started seeing friends die. I wasn't about to accept that as an ending for my story. About 6 years ago, I graduated magna cum laude with a degree in biology and went on to a master's degree in molecular biology. About that time, I was driving down the road thinking about how much my life had changed, and I heard your mother's voice in my head. She had told me many times that I was smart and that I could do anything on which I set my sights. She truly believed in me, and I heard that voice in my head many times when I was working hard to get A's in organic chemistry or calculus, but didn't realize who it was. She told me I could do it, and it stayed with me for all of these years. I decided that after graduating I would contact her and let her know how much she played a part in my getting through those many years of confusion. I was told at the time that she had passed away. I am sorry for your loss. I had only had her in my life for 1 year and she made such an impact. I can only imagine how much you miss her. I realized I couldn't thank her for all that she has done for me, but I wanted to let you know how grateful I was to have known her. At this time, I would like to thank the Scholarship Committee, for without the commitment of the faculty, the award would not be possible. While I'm sure any one of the finalists would be a deserving winner this year's winner of the award and the $2,000 scholarship is Bella Weaver.